my live. My name is Jillian. Just give me a few minutes for me to share my live. Albertine, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining my live. When you join my live, do well to share the live. I am trying to share myself. Just give me a moment to share and then let's get talking. A lot has been happening in our community. A lot has been happening around. So I'd like for us to have our minds rubbed. You're welcome from Cameroon, Albertine. Thank you so much. My name is Jillian and this is Contemporary Views. Contemporary Views on YouTube and on Facebook. So if you get me tilting from left to right, please do well to understand that I have audience over here on YouTube and audience over here on Facebook. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much. There's a scripture there. I am not going to preach, but I just want for us to draw some inspiration from that scripture. We are making a lot of mistakes just because we do not know. Hosea 8:4 says that my people perish for lack of knowledge. So let's rub our minds together for the things that are actually happening that we are. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much. You're welcome to my live. Welcome to Contemporary Views. Thank you so much. I need you to like the video when you join. Like the video. If you have not yet subscribed, do so. Thank you so much for joining. Fierin, thank you so much for joining. You're welcome to my live. You're welcome to my live. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, guys. For those of you joining in on YouTube, thank you all for joining. If you have not subscribed, do well to subscribe, do well to like the video, and do well to share. Thank you so much. For those of you coming in on Facebook, thank you all so much. Now let's go straight into the topic of today. I have a scripture up there. That's the title of this video, and I want for us to talk. I want to assume that many people watching me right now are parents or would be parents. There are lots of things that are going on around and we are turning blind eyes to, and these things are not helping out. You're welcome in. Now, I'd like for us to draw inspiration from Proverb 22:6. That's because I believe that speaking to the African folk, coming from the Bible, they would want to listen more. They would want to understand, because I want to believe that most of you watching me right here are Christians and your beliefs are from the Bible, from the scriptures. So there's a lot going on around us. There's a lot going on around us, and it's simply because we keep a close eye, and this is now eating deep into our society. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for joining. Hi, you're welcome to my live. If you're not following yet, click the subscribe button. Thank you so much. Hi, Albertina. Hi, Kibo. Thank you all for joining my live. My name is Jillian and this is Contemporary Views. I already introduced the topic, which is Proverb 22, verse 6. Now, I am going to read that topic because I have a lot, that scripture, because I have a lot of things to talk about based on that. A lot is going on, and I want to believe that with the proper foundation, we can solve some of these problems we are facing today. Okay. Now, Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Notice that the Lord doesn't tell you to teach a child, but instead we are to train a child. That means we are to mold into a shape by discipline and practice. Now, this is for you to know that there is a difference between training up a child and teaching a child. We as parents, or parents out there watching me right now, we are not supposed to teach our children. We are supposed to train them. By training them, you mold them. You mold them from within outside, from inside outside. You mold your children when you train them. You mold your children when you train them from within. You teach them from young ages to be able, yes, you teach them to be able to know the right thing from the wrong one. Now, this is just like introducing what actually happened. Now, I want to believe many people are watching me from Cameroon. You all are welcome to my life. There's something that has been going on the Cameroonian media space that is sickening. Yes. First, it was an 8-year-old girl who got impregnated by a 13-year-old boy. And now that 8-year-old has been delivered of a baby girl. Imagine being a mother at 8. That is a child. A child giving birth to another child. I don't blame the parents here. I just want for us to rub minds. I just want for us to reason things out. An 8-year-old. What is the moral behind an 8-year-old being involved in sexual activities right up to the extent of becoming pregnant? Does it mean the training this 8-year-old had wasn't sufficient? Since as it wasn't an RAPE, it was consensual between that 8-year-old and the 13-year-old. Basically, in most countries around the world, I want to tell you that a minor will or may not be punished for their crimes or sins or whatever they find themselves in, simply because the law understands that they are not psychologically okay to make certain kind of decisions. That is why I am not going to lay any blame on any child involved in all of these things. I am not going to lay any blame on any child. I see people say that they had poor upbringing. You cannot guarantee the things children will do. You cannot guarantee the things children will do. Did you people forget about peer pressure? Did you forget about peer pressure? When they reach a certain age, they go along with their friends and then they begin to do things that are despicable. Even you would come out to say that your child cannot do that. But now the big question is, did you train the child or did you teach the child? Because there is a difference between training and teaching of a child. Now, Albertina is saying we have to start teaching our children, our kids from different ages. Very true, but I am not talking about teaching our children. Let me go back to the scripture again, because I am bringing in the scripture because I believe that most of you watching are Christians. And if something is stemming from the Bible, it is much more explicit. So let me go back to the scripture and talk about it again. Let me read it to you. Now, Proverb 22:6 says, train up a child. The word is train. Take note of train. Train up a child in the way he should go. And when he is old, he will not depart from it. Notice the Lord doesn't tell you to teach a child. So now there is a difference between training and teaching. Training and teaching. Now, notice the Lord doesn't tell you to teach a child, but instead we are to train a child. That means we are to mold into a shape by discipline and practice. When you teach, maybe you tell somebody something once or twice or thrice, but when you train, you make them change from something you don't want them to be to something you want them to be. And training lasts forever, right? I want to believe that those of you watching in from Nigeria, there is this apprenticeship thing you do, which suggests that young people go into business under older people who have been serving in that capacity, yes, and then they serve for some time, and then later on, they are being graduated from that level, and then they give them some amount of money or maybe goods so they can go into business on their own. That's apprenticeship. So I want to believe that training is something like apprenticeship. Someone saying they see things and imagine things, though you can still be the best and your child goes wayward. Exactly. That's you not training them, because when you train them, they will be able to know their right from the wrongs. Okay. Now I already mentioned a 13-year-old impregnating an 8-year-old until they now have a kid together. Now these are children who are bedded children. But that is not the core of this video. If you see under the Proverb 22:6 of the thing, there is also forceful entry. Now that is making news. There is this 9-year-old girl, her videos are all over social media. She was raped by her own cousin. She lives with her aunt, and everybody has gone silent on this issue. It is deplorable. The video is so bad. I must tell you, the video is so bad. For mature women, they would understand what bleeding is like. For those of you out there watching who have better children, you understand that kind of bleeding that you have. Now, this young girl, she's only 9 years old. She had to go to school, and her teachers discovered that she is bleeding heavily. And when the teachers began to investigate what had happened to this child, she said that her cousin brother, who lives in the same house as herself, violated her. And he did it in a very brutal manner that had her destroyed. I mean, practically. The teachers will go as far as washing off whatever is coming down out of her body, but it won't stop. It just kept increasing. No matter how much water they poured on her, she kept on bleeding. That's how bad it is. Now, the point is, what kind of upbringing do we give our children these days? Most of the time, we take care of our female children. We advise them. We teach them how to be good women. We teach them how to be mothers tomorrow. We teach them how to be great. We teach them how to behave well. We teach them how to respect one another. We teach them how to respect and take care of their younger ones, even their older ones. We spend much more time teaching our daughters, but not our sons. Today we have broken men. Today we have wife beaters. All those men who beat their women up. All those men who fight. We have social misfits. People that we are not proud to have in our communities today. Does it mean that these people picked up the bad habits only when they grew up? That's a question I'm asking you all. Does it mean they picked up their bad habits as grown-ups? I don't think so. Most of them started this thing when they were much younger, but they were not cautioned. They were not trained. They were not told not to do those things they have been doing or they are doing. Now we have men who feel that the only way to settle scores is to fight. We have men who feel that the only way, to train up their children is to inflict pain on them. It is true that the Bible is telling you not to spare the rod and spoil the child. But pedagogy is also telling you that you can change, you can try out different things, then see if it is worthy for you to hit that child. Beating a child has never ever been the first or best solution to any problem. Now let me ask you, do you even get to talk to your children? Do you get to have conversations with your children? Being parents does not necessarily mean that you are correct or you are right. Being parents does not give you a leverage to hurt, punish, or beat up your kids. Many of you watching me here have never ever had reasons to dialogue with your own children. Do not forget that children are the leaders of tomorrow. Children are the future of tomorrow. The future that you talk about, have you bothered nurturing that future? Have you bothered taking care of that future? Or you just feel that the best thing you can do is beat up a child, punish them, be vindictive towards them. I understand that many of us grew up in such homes where our parents beat the hell out of us because we did something wrong. I also understand that it is an African way to train up a child, violence. But I want to tell you today that violence hasn't always been the way to go. At least it is proving now that when you use violence, you only get to create a violent person. I know you can tell me for a fact that children out there who are very violent today did not only become violent when they were old or right now. I mean, men who are violent today did not only become violent now that they are adults. They grew up in violence. I want to say a very big thank you to all the mothers out there, and I congratulate all the mothers for raising decent children out there. But I want to believe that there is more that we can do. We can still do. There is more. There is still much more work to be done, especially concerning our sons. You need to paint a picture of the kind of man as a mother that you will appreciate, and then teach your children, your sons, how to be that kind of man. Men don't fall off from trees. They are bedded by women and raised or trained by women. But today, men find pleasure in using their strength to solve problems. You don't need strength, you don't need force, you don't need violence at any level to solve anything. In the worst case scenario, raising your children with violence. Violence only begets violence. Now, you are a woman and your relative entrusts her daughter in your care. You are supposed to be the aunt to that little girl. You're supposed to be the caretaker of that little girl. You bring her into your home as a child. You're supposed to be a parent to that child. But now you fail in your parenting, because how does your own son conceive the idea that he can have sexual relationship with his own niece sister with his own cousin, your niece? How do you even take care of a girl child and you don't notice something as bad as that? It's not like it was hidden. This little girl was bleeding profusely, such that her uniforms got soaked. How did the parents not realize? How did that mother not realize? It had to go to school. The teachers had to be the ones to start cleaning off stuff from this little girl. Like I already mentioned, children are always not punished for their crimes before the law. That is because the law is smart enough to understand that they are in no position to make decisions. So you, the parents, will be held responsible when your children go astray. Train up your child. Teach them. Let them know the importance of sex education. Hiding things from them and letting them discover on their own will only end up in tears, just like what is happening right now. Had it been this young man, people say he's in Form 2, Primary 2, let's say GSS 2, if he was properly taught about sexual relations, his first choice wouldn't be his cousin, sister, with whom they live in the same house. You love your children. You buy mobile phones for them. You buy tablets for them. You buy computers for them. You allow them to search the internet. At least you should be responsible for the things they get to watch, for the things they get to see on social media. If you know that you will not be able to control the things that they watch on social media, it is in your own place to regulate or teach them practically, train them practically on how to handle issues that are beyond their comprehension. You go to social media, you watch crazy stuff, you learn them and bring them home to practice on your relatives. Does it really make sense to you? How can you even explain the fact that children who are already in secondary school are not aware of the word incest? They don't know what incest means. How can you even explain that? Now, incest occurs in your home. You decide to silence everybody about it. You decide to stay quiet and let it pass just because you don't want your son to be held responsible for the disaster that they have perpetrated on their own cousin. Some women, the way you behave sometimes, I want to believe that when they said that women brought the devil into the world, it's true. Now, let's switch positions for a minute. If the mother of the boy was rather the mother of the girl, will she be able to stay quiet when her daughter has been violated like that? Will she be able to stay quiet? I believe that will not be possible. Now she's quick to cover up her son's sins because she doesn't want him to be held responsible for what he has done. Now, what are you teaching a boy like that? At Form 2, you've started violating women at Form 2. Where do you think serial rapists are born? In another planet? I doubt that. I doubt that serial rapists are coming from another planet. We all grew up in the same communities with them. They are amongst us. Train up your children in the way that they should go, so that when they grow up, they would not depart from the training that you have given them. It is shameful that a woman will conceal something like that. You will hide it. You will not tell it to the world. You will not cry out. RAPE is a violation. It's a very big violation. Even older women who get RAPED cannot even take it lightly. It is so hurtful, so painful. It strips you of your dignity. It strips you of your personality, of who you are. That's something you're never going to forget. In Europe and America, people go for serious therapy after going through something like that. But it's only in Africa that people want to normalize things like that. Just because your son is the perpetrator, you stay quiet. That is wickedness in all ramifications. A 9-year-old. I don't want to know how old your son is. I don't want to know how old that young man is. But I hear he's in Form 2, JSS 2. It is shameful, painful, hurtful that people will just want to sit and not do anything about it. Now, the big question that I had in mind when I saw that video is, how on earth did a woman leave her child to go to school in that condition? Would she say she was not aware? This young girl had to go to school. Imagine the embarrassment. Her classmates seeing her in that condition. Just because all her clothes got soaked in her own blood. Her teachers were forced to undress her in front of her mates so they could bathe her. And after bathing her, she couldn't stop bleeding. They had to put on diapers for her before taking her to the hospital. Meanwhile, she was coming from her house, from her home where she lived. And now all her aunt had to say is she wasn't aware. And then after serious investigation, she didn't want this thing to go out because it happened in the family. Can we start exposing crimes being committed by members of our family? Can we do that? It doesn't mean that because it is your lovely brother or lovely sister that committed that crime, you should cover it. Expose those people doing evil things in your home, because you might just be the next victim. You might just be the next victim. Now, this young girl's life is never going to be the same again. Never. Her face is first of all on social media. Everybody has seen her. Everybody knows her story. Everybody knows what happened to them. Sometimes I am so bothered about the people who have mobile phones. We see situations, we don't get to help people, but we just want to record. And when we record, we don't know that we can hide the face of younger victims. So because she was raped, so what? Now the world knows what has happened to her. Nobody is out there trying to even cover her face. How is she going to live with that shame? Remember that the internet does not forget. In 20 years, that video will still be on the internet. In 30 years, that video will still be on the internet. What is going to be the future of this child? What is going to be her future? We are just interested in recording videos. We're just interested in posting rubbish on social media so that we have engagements and make money. My soul goes out to that young girl. I bleed in my spirit for her. Because the only time as a lady that someone gets to bleed that much should be a childbearing, not violation. This goes a long way to say that the violation was really severe. Really severe. I don't know what kind of rod that young man had, but he destroyed this little girl so badly. Now, for all the educative, thank you so much for joining, Claudia. Now, for all the blogs that share educative materials, nobody's teaching anything about that. All the gossip blogs just want to make money out of the situation. For all the influencers out there, nobody wants to throw light on things like that. They are not meant to be in our communities. You know these people who perpetrate such evil, but you hide them because you are not a victim. Usually, they will always say that the dance of a madman seems funny until that madman is from your family. Today, this young girl is going through shame, pain. But some mothers out there don't think that they can talk about it. They don't think that they can create some level of awareness on things like that. When we were much younger, say 20, 25 years back, when we were much younger, a child is bedded for the community, the entire community. Now, how do people get to forget where they're coming from? They get to forget their very own foundation. Every child belonged to the community. You could caution any child. You could caution any child if you find them doing something wrong. Who gets to caution children now? Who? We now want to equate ourselves with our children because we want to belong to the Gen Z generation. All of this is going to end in tears. I mean, premium tears, if we don't rise up now and start training our children. When you see a man beating up his wife, he didn't just start beating women when he got married. He saw his father beating his mother, and he thought that it was the right thing to do. And now he is doing it in his own house. Thank you so much, Domlo. Thank you so much for joining. Let us start training our boys. Train your children in the way that they should go. Teach them from young ages. You do well to train your girls, but not your sons, not your boys. The mother of this young man did a crazy job. It doesn't only suffice for you to bring children into this world. The job of a mother doesn't always end when these children become financially stable or say they become independent. The job of a mother continues. It continues till the day that mother leaves this world. Try to caution your children, try to teach them. What so many people fail to understand is if you don't caution them in the house, you would surely caution them in public. You hire lawyers to defend them in public. Caution your children from very young ages. It is going to save you the shame and embarrassment. I know that life is not very easy for those of us living in Africa. Life is not easy. When you have one-bedroom apartments, be mindful of the things you do in front of your children. I love my child, I love my child, I love my child, and you get mobile phones for them. At least know what they are watching in that mobile phone. If you make internet available for them, at least oversee the kind of content that they watch on the internet. They learn things through the net, and then they want to practice these things in reality. Practicing some of these things in reality ends in disaster sometimes, just like it's happening right now. Children learn by watching most of the time. That is why when you go to vocational schools, you see them learn by watching their teacher do what they are supposed to be doing. In other words, it is known as training. Train up your children in the way they should go. When they grow older, they should not depart. They will not depart. Hi, no, yeah, I'll send you the video. I have the video. I'll send it to you so you can watch it for yourself, and you see the disaster a 14 or 15-year-old boy did on his own cousin sister, barely 9 years of age. And his mom, who is also an aunt to the 9-year-old, is hiding everything. She's covered everything. She's not making it public. It's a shame that we have women amongst us who do things like that. Well, thank you all so much for joining my live. For those of you just joining in now, my name is Jillian, and this is Contemporary Reviews. On Contemporary Reviews, we discuss trends, we talk about trends, yes, and then of course we take home lessons. Now, so today's video has been very difficult for me to do, to come live, to talk about something that is really eating up our community of today. It's a shame. So if you're just joining in now, I advise you to watch the video from the very beginning. Thank you all so much for those of you who managed to be here live. Thank you so much for joining live. Thank you so much for all to all the new subscribers, those of you who newly followed the channel or the page. Thank you so much. I want to end the live now because I think I have already exhausted what I had to discuss with you guys. As always, I need you to use the comment section to tell me what you think. Any topic that I bring up, just use the comment section to tell me what you are thinking. Thank you all so much for being here live. Thank you, and I wish you a wonderful day. Thank you guys so much. Kisses to you. Do not forget to train up your children. Bible tells you that. Proverb 22:6. Do not forget to train your children in the way that they should go, so that when they grow old, they will not depart. Do not forget to train your children. Thank you all so much, and see you on my next live. Bye. Bye, Facebook, and bye, YouTube.